ask you about Zane really quick, and we all know the story of him finishing high school a couple years early. He told the story of how Misa would have to get up at 6 a.m. where he could sleep in at 9 and then go right to the rink. How does accelerating his schooling help accelerate perhaps his pro career?
Well, it's amazing. You just think it takes something off his plate, where the other guys are getting up, going to class, doing all the schoolwork on the bus. I mean, it sounds like he's such a good student, though. Even though he's taking college classes, wasn't that hard for him. So that's pretty impressive.
On Honzik, we talked to him a couple of days ago. He wasn't necessarily thrilled with his last season with the injuries and whatnot. How do you sort of get him back on track to where he's feeling good?
Well, the first thing we said, last year was last year. We're parking that one. We're not even going to talk about it. And then he got cut today. I'm like, okay, this has got to be it. But injuries happen. That's what he said. He went from the groin to the hand. He had other things going on too. So it was just one of those years. And now hopefully he's going to be healthy moving forward, other than this cut today, which is something else. But, I think just kind of refocus and get him going. He looks like he's in good shape too.
Probably happy.
Sorry. Is the cut anything serious?
No. Okay. He just, but they just, by the time they stitched him up, he wasn't going to come back. Yeah.
Must be pretty happy to know that he's out back home training with Martin Pospisil a little bit.
Oh, it's great because, the one thing, Pospisil finished third in testing last year, so I know he's going to push him every day. So I do think that's going to be helpful for him moving forward too.
100 Brstavich, when you go back and look at the Lindholm deal, what made him a key figure? Now that you've had him under the Calgary Flames umbrella for a little bit, what impresses you?
Well, if you just watch him today, the little plays, what he does with the puck, the way he sees the ice, he made a great play. There was a change going on. He threw it to space to bank it off the boards to let his guy come off the bench and get it. Those are high-end, subtle plays that maybe a lot of people don't know, but he did it on purpose. He wasn't just throwing it there he was looking at the bench. He saw that. He sees the ice so well. Offensively, he's a guy that we were excited to be able to get. And him and Zane both in the OHL this year. I mean, both 90-point guys. That's very impressive.
What's the plan
you guys try so hard to keep expectations in check when Zane's making behind-the-back passes on his first shift of the scrimmage. Does that make things a little tougher?
No, that's what he does. That's the one thing. When you bring offensive guys in, you don't want them to play safe. You want them to do it. There's time and place for everything, but and then for him to score the first goal to kind of kick it off was fun. But yeah, he makes those plays. You got to let him be creative like that.
What were your impressions of Yanni Yermo this week?
He had a great week. I mean, he had a great game too. I don't think I was expecting the offense output today, but he's big. He moves well. He was competitive. I thought he's had a great week.
What's the plan for him? Because you mentioned his season in the OHL. There's not necessarily a lot left for him to accomplish at that level, I feel like.
No, I would see him being with us here. Where here is, but in Calgary. I do see that moving forward.
Sorry. On Brstavich, between, I think you got Lipinski, you got Honzik, you got Brstavich, who are all 04s who could go pro. With the three guys, I know you've had a lot of first-year pros sort of come in and have some bumps in the road. Some came in and had really good first seasons. How do you use the experience of the previous guys to help progress the guys who are coming in now?
Well, if these guys come in, we got to put them in spots to be successful. If they're offensive guys, they need to be on the power play. If they need to be put with certain partners, probably a little bit more, you got to mix and match to make sure they're with a veteran guy, with a younger guy, and put them in a situation to succeed. You don't want them to come here and take a step back. You want to keep it going. So, that's what you're evaluating, and right from rookie camp all the way through the preseason into the start of the season.
Taking a look on the outside of things, pretty good crowd here today coming to watch the game. What does that say about the Calgary fan base?
Yeah, they're excited. That's, I was watching, I'm like, usually, the glass is full, but now it's like 4 or 5 deep. So I wish we did it somewhere where there was more seats because people could sit down, but it's exciting. And you know what? Talking to people, I'm just on the way down. They're just excited with the draft, excited with the young guys and the prospects we already have in the system. So they feel like we're headed in the right direction.
At this time last year, guys like Etienne Morin and Jeremy Poirier were your standouts in the defensive position. But since then, over the last 12 months, you've made all these additions through trades, and of course, Zane Parekh at 9th overall. How do you feel about the defensive position in terms of prospects, especially after all the work you've done over the last year to add players?
Well, I feel that was part of it. When we made the trades, we were looking for young prospects, and we hadn't drafted a lot of D. So to be able to kind of bring in more D and different types of D, they're going to mix and match together well. Some are offensive, some are defensive, and to play them together, you're thinking, okay, that could be a good pair for the next 10 years in your mind when you're sitting up there watching. And that's what it was all about, bringing in more guys and build that kind of core group that you're going to have moving forward.
And the emphasis on skill, in particular with guys like Hunter and Zane, that's definitely a noticeable thing, right?
Well, I think, that's what I said. There were 17 goals today. I was like, I don't know if I thought 17, but, usually it's like 6, 7, 8 goals. But, we were talking about the skill, and these guys showed it today. It's impressive. It was fun to watch, and, maybe we don't want to. Poor goalies. I really felt bad for the goalies. That was the one thing I did. I was like, it's not on them, but, you do have a lot of skill out there.
Craig, William Stromgren, 1 year ago to today, just looks like night and day. What have you seen, and do you think he has a chance to push for NHL games sooner rather than later?
Absolutely. I thought he was probably, from last year to the end of the year, the guy that took by far the biggest strides. I mean, and you watch him with the confidence out here, what he's doing, it doesn't even look like the same player. So if he continues to do that, I can see him getting NHL games for sure.
And you had 4 draft classes represented here. I think Stromgren and Coronado were the only guys from the 21 class. I guess did you just, obviously guys more experienced in your system, did you see what you wanted to see from them sort of on and off the ice? Because obviously on the ice they stand out because their games are a bit more polished. But have you seen some stuff behind the scenes that sort of make you think that they can sort of show the younger guys how things should go?
For sure. The one thing about them, they want to help the young guys. They want to, be a leader, help them. And then even coming back, because I was thinking, should they come back to camp this year? But I talked to them right after the first meeting, and they were excited to be back, and they were going to help the younger guys and show them what to do, and they really did. So I think to have them here was, I think Perek might have said, Zane might have mentioned, watching Coronado. So in one of his interviews I heard. So I'm thinking it is good to have those guys back, and they're really good people, and I think good leaders for the young group.
And I know you talked about wanting to build a culture here. Is that sort of part of it? Because I know you've talked a lot recently about the impact of some of the older guys in the NHL group. Do you want to sort of see that kind of permeate down to the prospect base too?
Well, you do. It's weird, like this draft class, a lot of guys in the OHL, but there's just a lot of players. They all seem like they know each other. And, they have a little bit of chemistry already. They're kind of hugging, and they seem like they're really tight already. So to build that chemistry, it is about culture. You want people that want to be here. That was one of the things we talked about. And, I think the young guys think there's an opportunity for them, and that makes everybody hungrier.
Greg, this is a little bit bigger picture, but you've gone through a year on the job. You've made an emphasis of trying to get younger. There's obviously a retool going on. We're through the craziness of free agency. What are you keeping top of mind when you're trying to assemble this roster right now?
Well, you want to bring in players that can help your club right now, but also not block players in the future. So, and who knows when guys are going to be ready. One thing we always talk about, we don't want to just rush them in to rush them in. We want them to be ready. I think that was one thing when Johnny Gaudreau, should we get him out after his second year? Well, he might not be ready. Then the third year, the best player in college. When's Hobie Baker? And when he came in, he didn't even go to the minors, right in the NHL, and away he went. So, I think we want to be patient with our young guys, but we also want to give them opportunity at some point.